We have a natural instinct to map our future like this, a straight, clean vector pointing toward a target we call success. But that desire for a predictable path traps us in dogma. We end up boxed in by other people's thinking. Your time is strictly limited. Every day spent following a predetermined script is a day of your life signed over to a plan that doesn't actually fit who you are. Fulfillment isn't found on these pre-planned routes. In fact, relying on a rigid life plan makes them fragile because it leaves you completely unprepared for the moments when reality deviates from your map. It's easy to have faith when the bills are paid, your health is good, and your relationships are stable. Under those conditions, anyone can maintain a large vision for their life. The real test begins at the moment of impact, the sudden, violent shock of a failure that shatters your original plan. This is when psychological paralysis sets in. Fear moves in to fill the void left by your broken plan, and if left unchecked, it systematically kills your hope and your dreams. That fear holds you back from the very actions you know you are capable of. It keeps you in a state of suspended animation, where the gap between who you are and what you could be starts to widen. The human spirit is incredibly resilient, but its strength is only truly measured at absolute zero, the moment of complete and paralyzing defeat. When you are at your lowest point, simply deciding to start over requires more courage than the original journey ever did. To navigate out of that failure, you have to change your internal operating system. You have to stop using your current feelings as a guide for your actions. Look at the feelings side of this logic tree. Waiting until you feel motivated or ready creates a circular loop yielding only delay. On the other side is the principle system. Followed regardless of mood, this logic carries a promise of a future outcome. Most people fail to reach their goals because they allow the way they feel on a Tuesday morning to override the long-term principles they set on a Sunday night. A successful comeback requires you to decouple your daily execution from your internal emotional state. You move because the principle demands it, not because you feel like it. This begins with commanding your mornings. It's the first battle of the day, rejecting the urge to stay in bed and choosing instead to take immediate, disciplined action. The sheer math of an action is brutal. When you surrender a single day to your emotions, you aren't just losing 24 hours. You are breaking your momentum, which can push your ultimate goal by months. The second practice is emotional containment. This schematic shows how you must act as a filter, taking in the erratic stresses of your situation and fully neutralizing them by taking absolute responsibility for exactly where you are. If you don't actively discipline your emotions, they will eventually dictate your life. They will use you as a vehicle for your own hesitation. Third, you must silence the noise. You have to tune out the opinions of others to hear your own inner voice, which is the only thing that can tell you what you truly love to do. Maintaining this level of discipline is hard. It is physically and mentally exhausting, which is exactly why so many people settle for a life that is less than what they are capable of. These three practices, morning command, emotional containment, and silencing the noise, act as the armor you need to protect your inner drive while you rebuild. When these disciplines are practiced consistently, the paralysis of failure begins to lift. You move from being a victim of your circumstances to someone who actively directs their own day. The fog of yesterday's failure clears. You stop worrying about what happened and focus entirely on the agency you have in the present moment. This scatter plot represents your life. Looking forward, moments of failure seem random and disconnected. But in hindsight, connecting the dots backward reveals that your greatest defeats were actually critical pivot points. They forced you to change direction and launch a new, higher trajectory. You have to trust that the dots will somehow connect. Whether you call it gut, destiny, or karma, having that belief gives you the confidence to leave the well-worn path behind. The last chapter of your story hasn't been written. When you accept that every failure is just another dot on the map, you can live with genuine passion and finally forge your own purpose.